let's get into the Intell portion. This has been an interesting time. You know, the last call was Thursday night, and we had our communion service on the call, and we had Good Friday, and then we had Resurrection Sunday last Sunday, a couple days ago. Seems like a long time ago in a way, doesn't it? It really does, because we get started on a Monday and start moving into whatever it is we're doing, and then, boop, here it is, Tuesday. We got the big call tonight. Now, the information that we've had has sort of been, it's sort of like what I had last Thursday. I pretty much have the same information today with a few additions, a few caveats. And when I try to get clarity on dates or what's happening, it's a little hard to nail it down absolutely. But I do feel good, really good about where we are and what we have received. I'm going to have to warn you to be very careful about what you're reading out there, because I've heard some things today that I know they're not correct. I know they're not true. And I shake my head because I know that there are things out there that are going to take some of our listeners away from what we understand to be what is actually happening. So be careful what you read. Now, obviously you have to be careful what you read and what you listen to. But I'm hoping that most of you will listen to what I have to say tonight, and let's see if we can make some sense out of it. So, all right. President Trump had a date in mind for this to go, for this to happen. I mean us, Tier 4B. And I'll cut right to it and just say that date was supposed to be by the 17th, but it really talked in terms of the 15th. That's tomorrow. Now let's talk about what's happening now and what has been happening. Let's go back to Sunday, Easter Sunday, Resurrection Day. Do you realize that, when we come to stimulus, we've got two aspects of it that are checks or direct deposits. Do you realize Sunday at noon, the Treasury sent out 11 million direct deposits? Those are the $1,200 checks. And, $1,200 for each adult that earns under $75,000, and then $500 additional for each kid up to, I don't know what the limit is. I don't know. They're talking about a family of 4 would receive, 12 is 24, 29, and 5 is $3,400, right? $3,400 for a family of 4. And that is the paycheck protection. Negative? No, it isn't. That is the stimulus check coming in the form of a direct deposit. Now, that was $11 million that went out on Sunday. By tomorrow, and I think that means in the accounts tomorrow morning, we should have a total of 80 million direct deposits. 80 million direct deposits made by tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a big day for a lot of reasons. Now, in addition to that, the stimulus checks that are not directly deposited, those physical paper checks, are to go out and I think be received by Thursday and Friday of this week. because to make it fair for those people that are waiting on checks, I don't think they're going to wait till next week for them to receive those checks. I may be wrong. Maybe they just go out Thursday and Friday, but I just wonder if they don't get received Thursday and Friday in the mail. We'll see. Now, let's cut back to the Paycheck Protection Program. We know of people that have received funds from that SBA loan program that turns into a grant if everything is adhered to according to the terms of the loan. And that PPP, as it is, started actually paying out as early as last Thursday with proceeds from the banks. This is from small community banks are the most nimble and the ones that have been doing the best job at getting those loans processed. Okay? I know of one that was entered with a new application on Saturday that received proceeds that same evening as a direct deposit, Saturday. So they're being, depending on how it's being worked through the local community banks, it's working pretty well. Now, yes, they probably will run out of money, and hopefully Congress will get its act together and approve the additional $250 billion, taking that total up to $600 billion. So we'll see how that goes. My point in bringing this up is there are a lot of funds that have moved over this last weekend to put this in position so that we can get started with our exchanges. First of all, on the one hand, you've got all of the direct deposits that are going to be received tomorrow, the checks that are going out, the loan proceeds that are coming out now for the Paycheck Protection Program, and you have funds that have moved from Dubai 1 and Dubai 2 into position, and you have two very large trusts. You've got the St. Germain Trust that was released, and the Rodriguez Trust, which is the one with the bottomless pit of funds. Those were both released over the weekend, one on Friday night at 9 o'clock and one around Sunday night at 9 o'clock. So those have been released to the central banks. Our central bank is the U.S. Treasury, and you could say the Federal Reserve has been integrated into the U.S. Treasury, because it has, just like the IRS has. So we are moving closer and closer to where we expect to be in terms of our restored republic. And Nasara Jasara. We are seeing some of that coming. And you guys know that this $1,200, and I think it's $1,210, don't fault me if the $10 doesn't show up, but the $1,200 is the start of the universal basic income. It should continue on and never go below that number. So let's see what happens in May, around May 15th. It's going to be my gut on it, and beyond. Now, those of us who are involved in these currencies aren't going to really need it or worry about it, but it's nice to know that everybody else will have income, universal basic income, coming in as well. All right, so we've got all of the funds in place. Paymasters accounts are in place. Trustees accounts in place. Everything is set for go. Tomorrow, the 15th, is the date that we have the UN operational rate change, all rates are supposed to be updated on that day after midnight tonight. And we did hear from our Forex guy that Iraq was looking at a new rate for their dinar, a newly revalued dinar rate, tomorrow. And that is on the 15th. So, they are positioned. We had information from the World Bank. We've had a couple of other bank sources that have reported that they believe this, I'm going to say they have told us that they're looking very strong at the 15th, which is tomorrow. Now, I can't call it for tomorrow, but I'm feeling very good about the possibility of tomorrow. I've also heard that it needs to go between tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday, that Friday is sort of a must-have by the 17th. So I feel really good about the next 3 days. Let's just say it that way. I feel very good about what I'm hearing about the next 3 days. First of all, people are going to be flush with some new funds as we are getting ready to set our appointments and go in for our exchanges and our Zim redemption. And so it's like we're not going to stand out as much because we're going in for banking, just like everybody else is. By the way, have you noticed that the 3 days of darkness were, as I said, were not going to affect us? They did what had to be done for cell phones and internet while we were still using it. But the 3 days of darkness went from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday over Easter weekend. And those days were the days of serious cleanup on aisle 3. Now, beyond this, the information that has come in is pointing toward everything going as I've explained it. We're just going to have to wait it out to see. There are things that have been said about, remember I'm sorry, I'm kind of going in circles. Remember the intermediate accounts, the intermediates that included CMKX, the fines and penalties, other adjudicated settlements, the farm claims, Indian claims, and so on and so forth. Those we've understood were to be paid Monday, which was yesterday, and today, which is Tuesday. Now, I don't have that they have been paid yet, but they were scheduled to be, and I believe they will be. But they may continue tonight or overnight to finish those. But tomorrow through Friday looks very good for Tier 4. That's A and B. That's the groups that are based out west, and that's us, the Internet group. They have called Tier 4, and not really distinguished like they have in the past, or like we have in the past. And we still do it because I still refer to our group, Internet group, as Tier 4B. Tier 4B. Now, we will continue to exchange. I know we're going at least through the 23rd of April, and maybe beyond that because of our start date. Well, I know we're going to have 8 or 9 or 10 days of exchanges. So we've got new rates showing tomorrow, which should reflect the new dinar rate. And if it shows the dinar, it'll show all the rates. It should. If the dinar comes up as a new rate tomorrow, that should mean something significant for us going forward. It really should. Not everything is based on Iraq, believe me. Iraq has been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for us to give the go signal. I know President Trump wants this economy to reopen sooner rather than later. You know he's put a time frame of around May 1st that he wants us to try to be able to open by. On today's speech, he said he would think that some of the states, and he didn't list them, he didn't even list a number of them, but several of them could open up before May 1st. And I fully expect us to find that out in the next 2 or 3 days. That may be held for an announcement, tomorrow through Friday. I don't know. But I know China wants us to announce the gold standard here, our gold-backed dollar, the USN, or preferably United States Treasury note, our gold-backed dollar again. That is something they want to have announced. I don't know when that announcement's going to come. I just don't know when it's going to happen. But it should be fairly soon. And I know that we will open this country up slowly, I believe, in several states, but taking high precautions and using the testing techniques. The newer tests are really good. So I'm excited about that, and I know you guys are ready to roll, get this exchange knocked out. Now let's talk about one other thing that I mentioned earlier. The first redemption session that you go in for, where you take all your currencies and they redeem those for you, and they give you a rate. It's a rate that I've used the term, and they've used the term as default rate. You can receive that default rate in your account, not as an SKR. Receive it in your account, and you can meet with your wealth management group up to 10 days later if you feel that you need to get more, that you want a higher rate on your ZIM. Talking only really about ZIM right now. So you'd have the opportunity to sit down with, this is who you're going to be sitting with, an Abbott Downing representative and a U.S. Treasury representative. Now, you would go through your project presentation again, possibly in more detail, because what you're doing is persuading them as to why you feel that you need more than the default rate. They believe the default rate is set, and you guys have heard me say how much for a while now. The default rate would be received and accepted. They believe 90% of the people that go through the redemption process will be happy with the default rate and not come back in to challenge the rate or to try to increase that rate. They believe only 10% of the people will come back for a second appointment to try to increase the rate of the ZIM for their projects. So we'll see how that works out. We may never find out about it, but that's what they're projecting. Now, what's interesting is, let's talk about the redemption centers. Redemption center staffs have been off for 7 business days in a row. That would mean, let's say all of last week. Well, 7 days is 7 days. You figure it out. Today, however, they were in at 10 o'clock. All redemption staff personnel, all of them, at 10 a.m. Do you think maybe they were going over the final information in some form of a conference, video conference, or a meeting, maybe to just get everybody completely up to speed again. CDC, Centers for Disease Control, remember we talked about the fact that they had come in and done a complete protocol, a complete cleaning of everything to make all surfaces perfect. They've trained all of the redemption staff on how to use the mask, the saran wrap over the keyboards and dispose of it after each session, as well as the silicone plastic gloves that we will also use to take the bills that we have, the currency, out of the envelopes, hand it to the people so that they can count and verify on the de la rue machines. Okay? So, the fact that CDC was in again on Friday and Saturday is interesting to me. Don't know what they did. Can only assume that they were going back over protocols, that they were reviewing, that they were checking surfaces, maybe testing again, that kind of thing. But I'm encouraged that all the redemption staff came in today at 10 o'clock. Maybe that's saying something for the rest of the week. So, I used to say, remember what we know and what we don't know. What we know is everybody is prepared, from the paymasters, the trustees, the redemption center staff, all the way through the system. The funds are in the accounts they need to go to transact our exchanges. They're ready for us. Now, when will we start? That's what we don't know. I think we should be golden over the next 3 days. Now, that's what I'm going to say, and I'm not calling it, but that's what everything is pointing to. So, watch for your accounts tomorrow if you're a direct deposit person. If you're on Social Security, it should be there tomorrow, if you don't have it already. And then otherwise, other checks will go out. You should have them. If you don't get them Thursday and Friday, they'll be coming. And then your loan proceeds are coming if you've already filled out all that paperwork, especially if you're working through a regional or a community bank. Odds are you're going to be processed faster than through a big Tier 1 bank like Wells or Chase or Bank of America or Citi. So there's a certain amount of patience that we've had to have for a long time with this. And I think that patience has made us stronger. I feel good about where we are. Let's just ride it out, let it come to us, and let's just continue believing. Don't stop believing. Boston, right? Yep. Let's do it. And let's, guys, stay safe. Keep the good thing, the social distancing deal. You know, get your little homemade scarf going. Get your bandana/scarf going, whatever. I fortunately have an N95 mask. I got one of those. So I'm all set. But let's stay safe, stay healthy, stay blessed, and stay confident in this very thing that we're going to receive. Well, Bob, let's let it go whenever you're ready, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.